بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم اجعل تجمعنا هذا تجمعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل يا الله فينا ولا بيننا شقيا ولا محروما. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Last week we spoke about the hidden wisdoms and events that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows and we do not know. We spoke about the story of Musa alayhi salam and his journey with Al-Khadr alayhi salam and the things that he saw and how they didn't make sense to him. But after it was explained to him, it was revealed to him that it was orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and everything had happened for a reason. To have firm belief that everything happens for a reason and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's best for you, you have to be very in touch with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and these things have to be ingrained in you and you have to constantly remind yourself. And I want to share with you a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. You have probably heard it, wallahu ta'ala alam, but it's good to always remind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وذكر فإن الذكرى تنفع المؤمنين, and remind, for verily the reminder is of benefit for the believers. So the hadith is actually an advice that the Prophet ﷺ gave to Abdullah ibn Abbas radallahu anhu. And Abdullah ibn Abbas at that time was just a young boy. And he says, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says that he was behind the Prophet ﷺ, and what the scholars figured out from that description is that he was riding behind him, whether on a camel or on a mule or a horse. And the Prophet ﷺ told him the following. He said, Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimat. He told him, oh boy, I am teaching you words of wisdom. Then he said to him, احفظ الله يحفظك. Be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His command, and He will protect you. He then said to him, احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. Told him, be conscious of the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will find Him on your side. إذا سألت فاسأل الله. He told him, if you ask, then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. And if you seek refuge, then only seek it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he told him, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتْ عَلَىٰ أَن يَنْفَعُوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَنْفَعُوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ لَكَ. And know that if the whole ummah gathers around to benefit you in something, they will not benefit you in anything unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed it and written it for you. وَإِنِ اجْتَمَعُوا عَلَىٰ أَن يَضُرُّوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَضُرُّوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ لَكَ. And then he told him, and if the whole of the ummah gathers to harm you in something, they will not harm you in anything unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed it and has rewritten it. And then he told him a testament to the everlasting effect of these words. He said to him, رُفِعَتِ الْأَقْلَامُ وَجَفَّتِ الصُّحُفُ. He said to him that the pens have been lifted and that the ink is now dry, meaning that these words are everlasting. See, the beautiful thing is that when you're young, your parents and those around you want to instill certain values that you can live by for the rest of your life. And this is the advice that the Prophet ﷺ gave to this young boy. This is what he told him. He told him never to ask anything aside from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that whatever happens to you, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not already decreed it, it would have never happened. Another narration, the hadith goes as follows. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ مَا أَصَابَكَ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِيُخْطِئَكَ وَمَا أَخْطَأَكَ لَمْ يَكُنْ لِيُصِيبَكَ. And know that whatever afflicts you was never to miss you, and whatever misses you was never to be yours. SubhanAllah, if you constantly live your day by day with this firm belief, you will never be saddened by anything, because you know that unless it's been decreed, it will not happen, and you will never be scared as well. And it teaches us an important lesson, never to bow down to anyone, never to yield to anyone because we're worried about our paycheck, or we're worried about our commerce, or we're worried about anything. If you ask something, only ask it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us to have great pride because we are believers. You see, in the days before us, in nations before us, when people would greet kings, they would prostrate to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that haram for us. We do not prostrate to anyone but Him, because He is our creator. Now, there is another hadith. This is, I want to share with you. This is a hadith Qudsi, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is narrating it to us. It's not the Quran, but it is a hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us, قال الله تعالى من عاد لي وليا فقد آذنته بحرب مني. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever becomes an enemy for a wali of mine, then I have promised him with war. Now, wali has many meanings. In Arabic, it can mean ally, friend. There are many meanings to him. But if you want to take just a simple metaphorical translation, it is someone who is very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, someone who adheres to His commands, someone who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises in ranks because of their belief. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever becomes an enemy to a wali of mine, then I have promised him with a war from me. And then He says, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ لِي عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُهُ عَلَيْهِ. And there isn't a single thing that my slave gets closer to me with that is more beloved to me than what I have already made an obligation for him. And then He says, وَمَا زَالَ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ. And my slave is constantly getting closer to me through the nawafil, through the voluntary prayers, through reading Quran. Nafil is anything that is not obligatory upon you, it's something that's extra. So, and my slave is constantly getting closer to me with these kind of deeds until I love him. فَإِذَا أَحْبَبْتُهُ كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ وَبَصَرَهُ الَّذِي يُبْصِرُ بِهِ وَيَدَهُ الَّتِي يَبْطِشُ بِهَا وَقَدَمَهُ الَّتِي يَمْشِي بِهَا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and then if I love him, I was his hearing that he hears with, and his sight that he sees with, and his hand that he uses, and the leg that he walks with. And obviously this is all a metaphorical explanation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with the slave the whole time. And every single move he's making, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directing him into what he likes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَنِي لَأُعْطِيَنَّهُ. And if he asks me, I will give him. وَإِذَا اسْتَغْفَرَنِي لَأَغْفِرَنَّ لَهُ. And if he asks for my forgiveness, I will forgive him. وَإِذَا اسْتَعَانَنِي أَعَذْتُهُ. وَإِذَا اسْتَعَاذَنِي أَعَذْتُهُ. And if he seeks my refuge, I will give him refuge. SubhanAllah. So the closer you get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more He will protect you constantly. And you see in the stories of those before us, subhanAllah, look, Imam al-Shafi'i, radiyallahu anhu, rahimahullah, he said in a beautiful few lines of poetry, when he was coming up to the city of Sarandib, he said, أمطري سماء سرنديب وأفيضي آبار تكرور تبرى أنا إن عشت لست أعدم رزقا وإن مت لست أعدم قبرا همتي همة الملوك ونفسي نفس غر ترى المذلة كفرا. He said, rain, O sky of Sarandib, and fill the wells of Takrur with gold. So long as I'm alive, there is sustenance for me. And when I die, there will always be a grave for me. My ambition is that of kings, and my pride sees humiliation as disbelief. SubhanAllah, this is the kind of character they had. When they went into this dunya and they traveled around, they had pride knowing that the only sustainer, the only one to ask from is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a very famous story of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when he donated all of his money, the Prophet ﷺ, he asked him, what have you left for your family? He told him, I left for them, تَرَكْتُ لَهُمُ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. I left for them Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who have true faith and true belief in Him, and those who are constantly striving to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be amongst His awliya. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.